February 14th, 2023, 3:47 a.m. Bakhmut trenches, eastern Ukraine. Artillery incoming. Shells impacting. Trench shaking. Soldier screaming. Shrapnel wound. Femoral artery. Bleeding heavily. Minutes to live. Maybe less. Ukrainian combat medic responds. Crawls through trench. Under fire. Reaches casualty. Tourniquet applied. Pressure. Bleeding slowing. Not stopped. Artery damaged severely. Needs surgery. Immediate. Medic calls evacuation. Coordinates provided. ETA unknown. Artillery continuing. Evacuation dangerous. Maybe impossible. Medic stabilizes. Best possible. Hemostatic gauze. Pressure dressing. IV fluids. Combat medication. Everything available. Everything limited. Supplies running low. This soldier, 5th casualty. This shift. Shift started 3 hours ago. 21 hours remaining. Bakhmut. February 2023. Height of battle. Worst urban combat. Most intense fighting. Ukrainian forces defending. House by house. Street by street. Trench by trench. Wagner forces attacking. Relentlessly. Casualties mounting. Both sides. Ukrainian medics working. Continuously. Under fire. Saving lives. Losing some. Trying everything. Against everything. Artillery. Mortars. Small arms. Drones. Everything. Constantly. Bakhmut trenches are hell. Combat medicine is impossible. Medics do it anyway. This is their reality. 24 hours. Continuous. No rest. No relief. Casualties constant. Supplies limited. Evacuations dangerous. Death everywhere. Medics between wounded and death. Between hope and reality. Between training and impossibility. This is Bakhmut medics. This is combat medicine. This is 24-hour hell, where saving lives requires risking yours. Where every casualty is race against time. Where resources are never enough. Where evacuation might never come. This is Ukrainian medics under fire. This is reality. Unfiltered. Unstoppable. Until relief comes. If relief comes, the shift continues. Hour 4. Dawn approaching. Artillery intensifies. Russian forces attacking. Ukrainian positions targeted. Trenches taking direct hits. Casualties multiply. First position, 2 wounded. Shrapnel. Concussion. Medic treats. Stabilizes. Calls evacuation. Second position, 3 wounded. 1 critical. Sucking chest wound. Tension pneumothorax. Needle decompression required. Medic performs. Under fire. Hand steady. Training takes over. Decompression successful. Breathing improves. Still critical. Still needs evacuation. Still waiting. Third position. 1 wounded. Traumatic amputation. Lower leg. Tourniquet applied by buddy. Good application. Medic reinforces. Administers pain medication. Morphine limited. Must conserve. Soldier screaming anyway. Shock setting in. Medic monitors. Prepares transport. Evacuation still not arrived. Casualties accumulating. 6 wounded now. This shift. Hour 4. 20 hours remaining. Supplies depleting. Tourniquets running low. Hemostatic gauze half gone. IV fluids limited. Morphine rationed. Antibiotics scarce. Everything scarce. More casualties coming. Incoming fire continuing. Positions being hit. Soldiers being wounded. Medics responding. Continuously. Impossibly. Hour 5. Explosion close. Trench collapses partially. Medic buried partially. Digs out. Unhurt mostly. Equipment damaged. Medical bag torn. Supplies scattered. Recovers. What possible. Continues. Must continue. Wounded need care. Death doesn't wait. Medics can't either. At 11:47 a.m. of February 14th, 8 hours into shift, evacuation finally arrives. Armored vehicle. Medical. Picks up critical casualties. 6 wounded evacuated. Relief temporary. More casualties immediately. Wagner assault intensifies. Close combat. Grenades. Small arms. Brutal. Casualties severe. Multiple trauma. Blast injuries. Gunshot wounds. Everything. Medic treats. Continuously. New casualties. 7, 8, 9. Hour 9. Shift halfway. Already exhausted. 16 hours remaining. Supplies critical. Tourniquets almost gone. Hemostatic gauze depleted. Using field expedients. Improvising. Training plus desperation. Keeping soldiers alive. Some soldiers. Not all. Some die. Despite everything. Wounds too severe. Blood loss too great. Time too long. Medic tries everything. Sometimes insufficient. Death wins sometimes. Not always. Most survive. Most evacuated. Most saved. Through medic's efforts. Through impossible conditions. Through 24-hour hell. This is Bakhmut. This is combat medicine. This is medics under fire. Saving lives. Loot because wounded need care. Because medics are there. Because stopping means more die. So medics continue. Hour after hour. Casualty after casualty. Until shift ends. If shift ends, Bakhmut doesn't stop. Combat doesn't pause. Medics can't rest. Until relief comes. Eventually. Hopefully. This is Military Report. And what happened in Bakhmut trenches wasn't heroic medical drama or sanitized documentary. Was brutal reality of combat medicine under sustained fire, where medics work 24-hour shifts treating continuous casualties with limited supplies and dangerous evacuations while under constant artillery and small arms fire. Where training met impossibility. Where every casualty was race against time and resources. Where wounds were severe and supplies were limited and evacuation was uncertain. Where medics improvised and adapted and continued despite exhaustion and danger and death. Where saving lives required risking yours constantly. The question isn't whether medics saved lives. Obviously did. Question is how medics sustained operations under such conditions. What enabled continuing despite impossibility? And what Bakhmut reveals about combat medicine where theoretical training meets brutal reality and human endurance is tested beyond limits continuously. Official Ukrainian statements about Bakhmut medics. Heroic framing. Deserved. Medics saving lives under impossible conditions. Accurate. Working continuously despite danger. True. Recognized sacrifice. Acknowledged reality. Combat medicine in Bakhmut was hell. Medics performed heroically. Statements reflected this. Appropriately. Additionally, requested more medical supplies. More evacuation assets. More support. Everything needed. Everything limited. Statements balanced. Recognition and reality. Medics honored. Needs acknowledged. Ukrainian military knew. Bakhmut medics were critical. Were undersupplied. Were exhausted. Statements reflected all. Honestly. Accurately. Medical community statements about combat medicine. Professional. Analytical. Bakhmut represents worst-case scenario. Accurate. Sustained casualties. Limited supplies. Dangerous evacuations. All true. Medics performed beyond expectations. Demonstrated. Medical professionals studied Bakhmut. Learned lessons. Trauma care under fire. Resource management when scarce. Triage under pressure. Improvisation when necessary. Everything. Bakhmut medics taught. Through experience. Through suffering. Through success despite impossibility. Medical community learned. Adapted protocols. Improved training. Recognized reality. Combat medicine isn't textbook. Is improvisation. Is adaptation. Is continuing despite everything. Bakhmut proved this. Medics demonstrated. Medical community acknowledged. Studied. Learned. Stay with me. Because the detail that explains how medics sustained operations, what enabled continuing, is going to show you that combination of training, adaptation, and pure determination kept medics functioning despite impossible conditions. Training. Ukrainian combat medics trained extensively. Western standards. NATO protocols. Tactical combat casualty care. Everything. Training was foundation. Provided skills. Provided knowledge. Provided procedures. But training assumes resources. Assumes evacuation. Assumes support. Bakhmut had none reliably. Adaptation required. Medics adapted. Used field expedients. Improvised supplies. Modified procedures. When tourniquets depleted, used clothing strips. When hemostatic gauze gone, packed wounds with regular gauze. Applied pressure longer. When morphine limited, rationed carefully. Prioritized severe pain. When evacuation delayed, provided extended care. Beyond training. Beyond normal. Adapted continuously. Additionally, determination. Medics refused to quit. Despite exhaustion. Despite danger. Despite deaths. Continued treating. Continued trying. Continued saving. Because wounded needed care. Because stopping meant more die. Determination sustained operations. When supplies couldn't. When training wasn't enough. When everything said impossible. Determination said, continue. Medics did. For 24 hours. For weeks. For months. Bakhmut duration. Through training, adaptation, determination. Combined. Enabled impossible. Sustained operations. Saved lives. Under hell. Let's establish what Bakhmut combat medicine actually was. What medics faced. How they survived. Bakhmut tactical situation. February-March 2023. Height of battle. Wagner forces assaulting. Ukrainian forces defending. Urban combat. Intense. Brutal. Continuous. Casualties heavy. Both sides. Ukrainian positions. Trenches. Buildings. Rubble. Everything fortified. Everything targeted. Artillery constant. Mortars continuous. Small arms everywhere. Drones observing. Directing fire. Casualties inevitable. Multiple daily. Severe wounds. Blast injuries. Shrapnel. Gunshots. Traumatic amputations. Everything. Combat medicine environment. Worst possible. Under fire constantly. Supplies limited. Evacuations dangerous. Delayed frequently. Medics working continuously. 24-hour shifts. Sometimes longer. Relief uncertain. Casualties constant. This is context. This is reality. This is what medics faced. Daily. For months. Combat medic training and equipment. Ukrainian combat medics. Trained extensively. Tactical combat casualty care. TCCC protocols. Western trained many. NATO standards. Skills tourniquet application. Hemostatic agent use. Airway management. Needle decompression. IV access. Combat medication. Everything. Training comprehensive. Equipment issued. Individual first aid kits. IFAC. Tourniquets. Hemostatic gauze. Pressure dressings. Nasopharyngeal airways. Chest seals. IV supplies. Medications. Everything necessary. Theoretically. Reality. Supplies limited. Resupply difficult. Bakhmut surrounded nearly. Supply lines under fire. Medical supplies priority. But insufficient. Never enough. Medics rationed. Conserved. Improvised. Made do. Training prepared them. Equipment supported them. When available, reality tested them. Beyond training. Beyond equipment. Required adaptation. Required improvisation. Required determination. Medics had all three. Demonstrated continuously. 24-hour shift reality. Typical shift begins. Casualties immediately. Or soon. Artillery starts. Positions hit. Wounded call. Medic responds. Under fire. Crawls through trenches. reaches casualty, assesses, treats, stabilizes, calls evacuation, waits, more casualties, repeat, continuously, hour after hour, no meals, eat when possible, field rations, quickly, no rest, sleep impossible, danger constant, stay alert, more casualties, more treatment, more evacuation calls, supplies depleting, ration carefully, prioritize severe, let minor wait, triage continuously, save who you can, accept who you can't, continue regardless, exhaustion builds, hour 6, hour 12, hour 18, hour 24, if shift ends, sometimes extends, relief delayed, combat intensifies, casualties multiply, shift continues, beyond 24 hours, medic continues, until relief, until collapse, whichever first, this is reality. Bakhmut medics, 24-hour hell, actually experienced, not dramatized, reality, casualties treated and outcomes, typical 24-hour shift, 10-20 casualties, severity varies, minor, treated and returned, shrapnel wounds, small, contusions, patched quickly, moderate, stabilized and evacuated, larger wounds, fractures, requires hospital, severe, critical treatment and urgent evacuation, arterial bleeding, sucking chest wounds, traumatic amputations, severe head trauma, everything life-threatening, medic treats, stops bleeding, opens airway, decompresses chest, stabilizes, calls urgent evacuation, sometimes comes quickly, sometimes delayed, sometimes very delayed, medic continues care, extended, beyond normal, monitoring, treating complications, hoping evacuation comes, before death, most survive, evacuation arrives, eventually, medics care sustain them, until transport, some don't survive, wounds too severe, blood loss too great, evacuation too late, medic tried everything, insufficient sometimes, death wins, not always, most live, through medics' efforts, through training applied, through determination sustained, outcomes, majority survived, reached hospital, received surgery, recovered eventually, some didn't, reality of combat, medics accepted, continued anyway, saved who possible, mourned who couldn't, continued treating, next casualty, always next casualty. 3 questions from the beginning. Time to answer them. How did medics sustain operations under such conditions? Training, adaptation, determination. Training provided foundation. Skills, knowledge, procedures, adaptation modified training. For reality, for limited supplies, for delayed evacuation, field expedients, improvisation, modified procedures, all necessary. Determination, sustained effort, despite exhaustion, despite danger, despite deaths. Medics refused to quit. Wounded needed care. Medics provided continuously, for 24 hours, for weeks, for months, through training plus adaptation plus determination. Combined, enabled sustained operations, under impossible conditions. Bakhmut trenches, combat medicine. Medics delivered, impossibly, successfully. What enabled continuing despite impossibility? Sense of duty primarily. Medics understood. Wounded soldiers depended on them. Stopping meant soldiers die. Unacceptable. Medics continued, despite everything. Additionally, training automation, skills became reflexive. Exhaustion didn't stop trained responses. Muscle memory took over. Medic treated, automatically, even exhausted. Additionally, team support. Other soldiers helped, carried supplies, assisted treatment, provided security, enabled medic to focus on medicine, on casualties, on saving lives. All factors combined. Duty, training, support, enabled continuing, despite impossibility. Despite exhaustion. Despite danger. Medics continued. Because stopping was an option. Wounded needed care. Medics provided. Always. What does Bakhmut reveal about combat medicine? That reality exceeds training. Always. Training prepares. Reality tests. Beyond preparation. Bakhmut tested maximally. Continuous casualties. Limited supplies. Delayed evacuations. Constant danger. Everything worst case. Medics adapted. Improvised. Continued. Demonstrated. Combat medicine requires more than training. Requires adaptation. Requires improvisation. Requires determination beyond normal. Bakhmut showed this. Clearly. Brutally. Ukrainian medics proved capable. Under worst conditions. Modern combat medicine lesson: train extensively. Expect worse. Adapt continuously. Never quit. Bakhmut taught. Ukrainian medics demonstrated. Medical community learned. Combat medicine under fire. Reality. Not theory. Bakhmut reality. Medics lived it. Some died doing it. All demonstrated it. Combat medicine works. When medics determined enough, trained enough, brave enough. Ukrainian Bakhmut medics were proved conclusively. The lesson from Bakhmut medics is that combat medicine under sustained fire requires training plus adaptation plus determination to sustain operations when supplies limited and evacuations delayed and danger continuous. Ukrainian medics demonstrated this. 24-hour shifts. Under artillery. Treating continuous casualties. With depleting supplies. Waiting for uncertain evacuation. Adapting when necessary. Improvising when required. Continuing when exhausted. Because wounded soldiers needed care. Because stopping meant more deaths. Because duty demanded. Medics delivered. Saved majority. Lost some. Tried everything. Against everything. Modern combat medicine lesson: theoretical training insufficient. Must prepare for reality. Limited resources. Delayed support. Continuous danger. Everything simultaneously. Additionally, medic determination critical. Training provides foundation. Determination sustains operations. When everything says stop, determination says continue. Bakhmut medics continued. For months. Demonstrated. Combat medicine possible. Under worst conditions. Through training, adaptation, determination. Ukrainian medics proved. Bakhmut trenches. 24-hour shifts. Impossible conditions. Lives saved. Lesson taught. Permanently. Combat medicine. Under fire. Ukrainian medics. Bakhmut hell. Demonstrated conclusively. This is Military Report. We analyze operations defining wars. Bakhmut medics define combat medicine's reality. Beyond training. Beyond theory. Brutal reality. 24-hour shifts. Continuous casualties. Limited supplies. Dangerous evacuations. Constant artillery. Everything worst case. Medics responded. Professionally. Heroically. Impossibly. Treated casualties. Stopped bleeding. Opened airways. Decompressed chests. Stabilized wounded. Cold evacuations. Waited. Continued care. Extended. Until transport arrived. Or didn't. Saved majority. Lost some. Despite everything. Tried everything. Supplies depleted. Improvised. Tourniquets gone. Used cloth strips. Hemostatic gauze exhausted. Packed with regular gauze. Pressure longer. Morphine limited. Rationed carefully. IV fluids scarce. Conserved. Prioritized. Everything adapted. For reality. Training met impossibility. Adaptation enabled continuation. Determination sustained effort. Medics worked. Hour after hour. Casualty after casualty. Under fire. Continuously. 24 hours. Sometimes longer. Relief delayed. Combat intensified. Shifts extended. Medics continued. Until relief came. Eventually. Exhausted. Traumatized. Successful mostly. Saved lives. Under Hell. Bakhmut Trenches. February-March 2023. Worst Urban Combat. Ukrainian Medics. Best Performance. Under Worst Conditions. Demonstrated combat medicine works. When medics trained. When medics determined. When medics refused to quit. Bakhmut medics were all three. Proved completely. Taught permanently. Combat medicine. Reality. Ukrainian medics. Bakhmut. Forever lesson. Subscribe to Military Report, because understanding modern warfare requires understanding combat medicine's reality. Bakhmut demonstrated. Ukrainian medics. 24-hour shifts. Continuous casualties. Limited supplies. Delayed evacuations. Constant danger. Everything simultaneously. Medics sustained operations. Through training applied. NATO protocols. TCCC procedures. Everything learned. Everything tested. Reality exceeded training. Medics adapted. Improvised supplies. Modified procedures. Continued care beyond normal. Extended duration. Waiting evacuation. Monitoring wounded. Treating complications. Preventing deaths. Until transport arrived. Determination sustained this. Exhaustion built. Hour 12. Hour 18. Hour 24. Beyond. Medics continued. Duty demanded. Wounded needed. Medics provided. Refused to quit. Despite everything. Saved majority. Bakhmut casualties. Severe wounds. Combat trauma. Everything. Medic care sustained them. Until hospital. Majority recovered. Because medics continued. Under fire. Under pressure. Under exhaustion. Professional. Heroic. Impossible. Ukrainian medics. Bakhmut trenches. Combat medicine. Reality demonstrated. Lessons taught. Train extensively. Expect worse. Adapt continuously. Determine absolutely. Never quit. Wounded depend. Medics deliver. Bakhmut proved. Ukrainian medics demonstrated. Modern combat medicine. Reality. Study. Learn. Remember. Combat medics. Under fire. Saving lives. Losing some. Continuing always. Bakhmut. Ukrainian medics. Permanent lesson. Combat medicine. Reality. Real operations. Real tactics. Real consequences. Stay informed.